Germany is facing a drastic number of refugees by the end of 2015, believed to be in the region of 1.5 million.
It is not quite on a biblical scale, but an exodus it certainly is. Migrants who've been trapped at the railway station in Budapest, now deciding to walk the hundreds of miles to Germany and what they see as the promised land.
The other side of this tragedy is how it will change Europe. Non-Western migrants had already been flooding into Europe for decades. Leaders refuse to stop it.
London has got so ethnically diverse that white Britons are now a minority here.
White families in Birmingham are set to become a minority group for the first time.
The country's most rapidly growing demographic is Muslim,
with Mohammed now the most popular name for baby boys in London.
The high Muslim birth rate is changing the political landscape. Imran is looking forward to replacing Belgian law with Sharia law. Something else that Muslim immigration appears to have brought to Norway is what some here call a rape epidemic. Recent police statistics showed that in the capital of Oslo, 100% of assault rapes between strangers were committed by immigrant non-Western males, and 9 out of 10 of their victims were native Norwegian women. The United Nations report says Sweden will be a third world nation in about 15 years, below Libya and Bulgaria.
Salzau ist ein 36-Seelendorf in der Abgeschiedenheit der holsteinischen Schweiz. In dem leerstehenden Herrenhaus der Gemeinde brachte das Land 320 Flüchtlinge unter. Die Räumlichkeiten sind hochherrschaftlich.
Aber das Problem ist, dass wir haben nicht so viel hier zu machen. Wir brauchen etwas zu machen. Also müssen wir unsere Zukunft wissen, was unsere Zukunft ist.
بل إن إخواننا ضحوا أموالهم وحتى أرواحهم فداء لهدف الوحيد. For there is no other path to victory except through sacrifice and jihad for the sake of Allah.
Those of us who fear that Islamic radicals might be lurking among the refugees have been called every name in the book: bigots, Islamophobes. But the cold, hard reality is the Protestants and Catholics and Jews aren't the ones beheading people. The president remains steadfast. The Muslims will come. He told reporters that we don't have religious tests to our compassion. But that's not exactly accurate. You see, last year, the Obama administration led a fierce legal battle against an evangelical Christian family from Germany, the Romeike family. They came to our nation legally so they could homeschool their children. Yet the administration fought tooth and nail to have them deported, only to change their minds at the last hour.
%83 der 200 Rütli-Schüler sind ausländischer Herkunft.
Die Deutschen sitzen sich immer dahin. Sind immer allein und so.
Und die anderen, wie gehen die mit denen um?
So, die schreien auf die, die treten die laufen rum. Wenn die sehen, geben die einfach Stelle, so aus Spaß.
Die sind viel Gruppe. Und wehren die sich, die Deutschen?
Nein. Die haben Angst so.
Even if you expose them to authentic information, you still cannot change the basic perception and the logic of behavior. He will refuse to believe it until he is going to receive a kick in his fat bottom.
Swedes who disagree with that plan risk being labeled racist, fascist, even Nazi.
This footage of the Revolutionary Front smashing the home of a suspected fascist is one of the many attacks they film and publish on the internet.
I've never seen anything on this scale before.
Das ist, glaube ich, ein wichtiges Signal an Sie, dass der Islam, so wie der Bundespräsident Wulff es gesagt hat, zu uns in Deutschland inzwischen gehört.
So, und wir vermehren uns immer mehr. Ihr Deutschen kriegt ja keine Kinder. Ihr kriegt höchstens, wenn es hochkommt, 2 Kinder. Wir machen 7, 8, Alhamdulillah. Okay, Kollege? Und dann nehmen wir uns auch nochmal 4 Frauen, dann haben wir 22 Kinder. So macht Allah Azza wa Jal, der allmächtige Gott, macht das so, dass wir euch erobern, nicht mit Krieg hier in Deutschland, sondern mit Geburtenraten, erstens. Und zweitens, wir heiraten eure Töchter. Ja? Und deine Tochter wird Kopftuch tragen. Und deine Tochter wird einen Bärtigen heiraten.
سنخصبهم وسوف ننزل وسوف ننجب منهم لأننا سوف نفتح بلادهم رغم أنوفكم يا أيها الألمان يا أيها الأمريكان يا أيها الفرنسيون يا أيها الطليان يا كل من على وزن الطليان خذوا اللاجئين سنطلبهم منكم قريبا باسم دولة في الخلافة القادمة.
مع عدم الزواج مع عدم الرغبة في الإنجاب الهرم بتاعهم 100 يرثه 80 وال80 بعد 10 سنين يورثهم 60 وال60 يورثهم كام 40 وال40 بعد 10 سنين 10 بعد 20 سنة مش هيبقى في حد.
Even if you expose them to authentic information, you still cannot change the basic perception and the logic of behavior. He will refuse to believe it until he is going to receive a kick in his fat bottom.
Voices for Refugees. Heute noch auf dieser Bühne. Conchita Wurst.
Bonjour. Cheers. Take me a picture blind every Keith.
Quel est l'objectif? Ça va faire parler, mais l'objectif, c'est relever le défi du métissage. Défi du métissage que nous adresse le XXIe siècle. Ce n'est pas un choix, c'est une obligation, c'est un impératif. On ne peut pas faire autrement, au risque de nous trouver confrontés à des problèmes considérables. Nous devons changer, alors nous allons changer. On va changer partout en même temps, dans l'entreprise, dans les administrations, à l'éducation, dans les partis politiques. Et on va se mettre des obligations de résultat. Si ce volontarisme républicain ne fonctionnait pas, il faudra alors que la République passe à des méthodes plus contraignantes encore.
Richard Coudenhove-Kalergi published the plan for a united Europe and the ethnocide of the peoples of Europe. The encouragement of mass non-white immigration was central to the plot. Since then, an unholy alliance of leftists, capitalists and Zionist supremacists has schemed to promote immigration and miscegenation with the deliberate aim of breeding us out of existence in our own homelands. As indigenous resistance to this human genetic modification industry grows, the criminal elite seeks new ways to camouflage their project. First, their immigrant pawns were temporary guest workers. Then it was a multiracial experiment. Then they were refugees. Then the answer to a shrinking population. Different excuses, different lies. And asylum is just another one. But the real aim stays the same. The biggest genocide in human history. The final solution of the Christian European problem. This crime demands a new set of Nuremberg trials, and you people will be in the dock.
Мы видим, как многие евроатлантические страны фактически пошли по пути отказа от своих корней, в том числе и от христианских ценностей, составляющих основу западной цивилизации. Отрицаются нравственные начала и любая традиционная идентичность, национальная, культурная, религиозная или даже половая. Проводится политика, ставящая на один уровень многодетную семью и однополое партнерство, веру в Бога или веру в сатану. Эксцессы политкорректности доходят до того, что всерьез говорится о регистрации партий, ставящих своей целью пропаганду педофилии. Люди во многих европейских странах стыдятся и боятся говорить о своей религиозной принадлежности. Праздники отменяют уже. Или называют их как-то по-другому, стыдливо прячут саму суть этого праздника, нравственные основы этих праздников. И эту модель пытаются агрессивно навязывать всему миру. Убежден, это прямой путь к деградации и примитивизации, глубокому демографическому и нравственному кризису.
A závěrem svého vánočního poselství bych vám chtěl říci dvě jasné věty. Tahle země je naše. A tahle země není a ani nemůže být pro všechny. Milí přátelé, šťastný a veselý nový rok.
Jezus Chrystus! Moi drodzy, wrogowie ojczyzny i wrogowie Kościoła dzisiaj dostają szału, bo widzą wielką, ogromną armię patriotów.
We got some stuff for you.
Tonight they step off the plane as refugees, but they walk out of this terminal as permanent residents of Canada with social insurance numbers, with health cards, and with an opportunity to become full Canadians.
House Resolution 569. It not only condemned violence and bigotry against Muslims, but urged the Justice Department to find a way to prosecute those of us who are raising the alarm. Talk about a chilling effect on the First Amendment. They should be ashamed of themselves, but they are not.
I have a constructive suggestion to help those poor asylum seekers from Africa. Yes, make it clear they can't come here, so they don't try to cross the sea and drown in huge numbers. The best way for them is to get the banks off the backs of their countries so they can live in peace in their countries and we Europeans can live in peace in ours. Thank you.
What the table microphone picked up was Merkel sort of muffledly asking a question to Zuckerberg, and then you hear Zuckerberg, and it's on this issue of what Facebook is going to do about monitoring, policing, racist, xenophobic comments about refugees here in Germany. It's a big issue. We hear for Zuckerberg's response pretty clearly on the tape, or at least people who are listening it did. He said, we need to do some work. And then, Guy, there's the Merkel follow-up. She basically asked the same question again and says, but you're working on this. And Zuckerberg can only say yes.
There are people in Sweden who support Israel and have a deep sense of the injustice of the present situation. It's these people who give hope to those who still believe that things will get better here. One of them is Barbara Spector, a former American who made Aliyah and then 10 years ago, with the help of the government of Sweden, set up a non-denominational institute of Jewish learning with the Greek name of Paideia, here in Stockholm. She believes the current wave of anti-Semitism in Sweden will pass and that Jews have an important role to play in a country undergoing profound change.
I think there's a resurgence of anti-Semitism because at this point in time, Europe has not yet learned how to be multicultural. And I think we're going to be part of the throes of that transformation, which must take place. Europe is not going to be the monolithic societies that they once were in the last century. Jews are going to be at the center of that. It's a huge transformation for Europe to make. They are now going into a multicultural mode, and Jews will be resented because of our leading role. But without that leading role and without that transformation, Europe will not survive.
Israel also has a fence that runs along the Syrian frontier through the Israeli-occupied Golan Heights and through the occupied West Bank.
ככל שניתן אנחנו נקיף את ישראל בגבולות, בגדר ביטחון ובמכשול שיאפשר לנו לשלוט על גבולותינו. אנחנו לא ניתן לשטוף את ישראל במסתננים, מהגרי עבודה ופעילי טרור.
Often when there is dissent expressed in the United States against policies of the Israeli government, people here are called anti-Semitic. What is your response to that as an Israeli Jew?
Well, it's a trick. We always use it. When from Europe somebody is criticizing Israel, then we bring up the Holocaust. When in this country people are criticizing Israel, then they are anti-Semitic. And the organization is strong and has a lot of money, and the the ties between Israel and the American Jewish establishment are very strong, and they are strong in this country. As you know, they have power, which it's okay. They are talented people, and they have power, money, and media, and other things. And their attitude is Israel, my country, right or wrong, the identification. And they are not ready to hear criticism.
We all, as a matter of the world order, such as it is, need to come together urgently in order to assert rule of law, human decency, and to make order out of places where there is chaos.